get that back. They crashed my live. So I don't know if I'm going to access that, but as soon as everybody started joining, you guys crashed it. So thanks for that. We were right in the juice of it.
Oh, we're getting into it.
My phone was like, no, this is too much.
Too much.
So thank you for everybody who's joined. And yeah, oh, hey, Phil. As soon as you have a question around money, around confusion, overwhelm, stress, block, whatever, just pop it in the comments blocks below, because I don't want to hold up Dan for too much longer. But I did have another question, and it flew out of my mind when our Instagram live crashed. But one of the things that I think is really common is not being able to talk about money. Like, just number one. I've had experiences with friends that when I choose to lean in and do the work and I create more openness around it, they have a lot of resistance. And I'm met with anger, I'm met with, reactivity, or maybe even tears. Like, that's literally happened a few times where as soon as I bring up the topic of money, like waterworks. So why is that? And how do we create some separation?
Yeah, totally. That's a great question. And again, like mostly I speak from my own experience, and then I've probably sat with over 1,000 clients, and everybody, like something that I know to be true is everybody has a very unique relationship with money. None of us have the same experience with it. But for myself, I know, first of all, I was never taught about it. So I don't know if I'm doing good or bad, or I have no context for it. And nobody talks about it anyway. And then when I had debt, it was like guilt, shame, and like uncomfortableness talking about it. And so I just didn't. And that perpetuated the problem for probably way longer than it needed to. And it wasn't until I had some really good friends, probably like you're doing and creating the space for people to have a conversation. I had friends that I trusted. It started with friends. And I realized I could share this thing with them. Like in my case, it was my dad. And there was no judgment there. And then I was like, oh, wait a second. You still want to hang out with me? You still think I'm cool? Oh, okay, awesome. And then I was like, okay, what if I shared it with a credit counselor? And then same thing. I was met with no judgment, actually a lot of compassion and understanding. And so there's just like, I think what people are afraid of is being judged or rejected because of their money situation, which is, probably because of, I would imagine, like just the fact that we don't talk about it. It was kind of this thing that was kept quiet. Like our parents would never talk about it. At least mine didn't. But yeah, everybody has a very individual story and experience with it, and they'll have their own reasons why. But I think underneath those reasons, it will be a fear of being rejected or a fear of being, fear of being rejected or judged against. And I think, anyways, for me, it was like as soon as I could talk with somebody who understood my situation and still accepted me as I was, that created the space I needed to then share more. And now I understand that I am that space for a lot of people, because for me, like, I went $500,000 in debt at 21, and I was making $8 an hour. So people will come to me and they're like, oh, I have so much debt or this or that. And I'm like, okay, like maybe, I don't know. And I'll share them with mine. And whether or not we do anything together, they leave feeling okay, because they're like, whoa, well, at least I wasn't as bad as that guy. Yeah. So yeah, I think that there is, it's interesting though, that like, if I would say this, like if there is an area of your finances where there's like some shame or guilt or like an unwillingness to share, that's where there's an opportunity for growth right there. Like your money can be such a good teacher if you let it. But yeah, that's the challenge. Yeah.
Oh, love that. Everybody who's on live, drop a comment below of what specific area of your money world and well-being feels the most shamey or triggering. So we've got a question from Cam.
Yeah.
Seeing that it's tax time, what is the most important tip you'd give to an individual in regards to taxes?
Oh, okay. So tax time is the worst time to come up with tax tips. Uh,
Love
the best time, like this year, there's probably limited things that you can do during tax time. But for next year, if you plan ahead, if like tax year is going to come next year too, there's strategies and ideas that you can implement now that you'll get a way better money savings or tax planning. Like tax planning is a thing. In terms of like tax strategy right now, yeah, case by case basis. But if you're an entrepreneur, I would say put some money away. That's one of the big ones that I see entrepreneurs make. They don't plan for their taxes. So
yeah,
I'll leave it at that.
not happening.
Yeah.
Isn't that same thing with like buying a house or, having money for potential illness? It's like we know these things are happening, or like even a wedding, right? Like
Right.
maybe I want to get married, maybe I want to buy a house. I know that's coming, but let's just pretend that it's not. And then when we make that decision, go, fuck,
Yeah.
I didn't think about this. It's like, well, you knew it was coming. Like,
Totally.
So I love that. If you're
Yeah.
an entrepreneur, Cam, plan ahead for next year, and we'll make some bigger changes. And you can find Dan's info. I'll post it afterwards if you want to have a strategy call with him. So one more question from Kelly. She's a mum of 3 and just finishing up studying community services, but she doesn't know what she wants to do. I believe the universe has a plan, but I still feel a block. If I could ask Kelly first, what's the block in specifically? What's the block between? What do you see is on the other side of that block? If you could clarify that for us, then we'll be able to give you a better answer.
Awesome.
Humble Wildflower. Sometimes I feel like I talk myself out of things I really want to experience because of how much it costs. Even though the value for me is huge and I really want it, how can I shift or explore this even more? Love that question. That's so good. So this is more like a value, and a bit of scarcity and abundance, it sounds like, in there too, right? Go for it, Dan.
Oh, that one's such a loaded question because like on one hand, it's prudent financial advice to live within your means. Like in terms of you earn this much, don't spend this much.
I definitely learned that.
Yeah.
And it worked for a while, but it definitely made me a tight ass.
Right. Yeah.
Like walk around being like, I've never been in debt. I only do things when I have that money saved. And then I'm
Right.
like, oh, but I'm actually really cutting myself short with risk, especially in business. I won't make risks because it's not below my means. It would be investing in something or, yeah. So I'm with you, love. I'm with you.
Yeah, totally. And so it's like there's like one of the things that solve most money problems, at least like when you're talking to business owners, it's the problem is like usually more sales. So as individuals, it's like more income, right? And so if the issue is like what was it again? It's like I feel like I talk myself out of things that I really want to experience because of how much it costs, even though the value for me is huge. Yeah, so it's like it might be out of. I have 2 thoughts about this. One is like, in order to grow, you have to be uncomfortable. You often have to like spend money that you wouldn't normally spend. In order, like for me, I worked with a guy by the name of Bob Proctor, And I totally could not afford this guy's program. It was like 15 grand a year. There's no way I could like figure out how to, well, I figured out how to pay it. I put it on a payment plan for a year. I went into debt and I did his program. And the whole time I'm like freaking out. Oh, I hope, did I make a mistake? This is a lot of money. And literally in the last month after the year-long program, I put on an event. I had a $400 offer and 40 people signed up and I made $6,000 or $16,000 in one day. And the course was $15,000 for the year. And I could never have done that had I not get the perspective shift and the paradigm shift that I got by investing in myself. So there's like the distinction I would make is like there's an investment is something that you would expect a return from like later on, right? And then there's like things like travel or a new car and you can actually get a return on, you know, an experience of travel. But I just put that in that category because it's maybe not like directly related. It's not a linear thing. Whereas like a course or so yeah, there's like if you're investing in yourself and it's about stretching yourself, like it could be that investment and that course might be the thing that helps you get to the next level. And then it's like if you're purchasing trips or clothes or handbags that aren't going to necessarily have a return on that money, it's like then that's where you have to stay within your means. Does that make sense?
Yes. Could I also add something to that if she's still on, and for everybody, is even becoming aware of our language around how we talk about money. So the word spend literally means like done, dusted, whereas money is never actually spent. It's incorrect. So money is circulated, and me just making that shift in my language of oh, I can't afford it or I can't spend that money, which means boom, there's an end. It's not coming back. And shifting that to circulate makes me feel like, oh, if I invest this energy here, monetary or presence or whatever, then it's coming back around somewhere else and I'm circulating it towards something that I do believe in. So for example, whatever experience this is that you might be tossing up if you do it or not, and if you want to save or invest in it rather than spend, is that going in the direction of the world that you want to see? Is that, you know, money being circulated to something that you'd feel really good about? And how will that potentially circulate back to you? What would that potentially look like? And that just opens up the perspective for abundance rather than scarcity of I've got this money and if I spend it, it's not coming back. But if I take a little bit and I'm investing it or I'm circulating it, it might come back in a different way or yeah, in a really magical way. Who knows? All right, so I'm going to wrap up really soon, but I just want to finish off Kelly's questions. So she's the one that asked before, she's just sent in now. I feel like I don't know what area I'll work, or I haven't had the best role models with work on money. There's more around what I feel I can't do. Okay, so it sounds like there's more stories around what's not possible rather than what is possible. So this sounds more about the shift in mindset, right? Dan, can you finish us off with any words of wisdom around that?
Yeah, I'll finish off with like an example that I use often. Yeah, I'm sure you've heard me say this before, Emily, but like it sounds like Kelly, what's there is the inputs that have been going in since from whenever have now planted themselves in there, and there's a view where it's like it's not that inspiring, and maybe like what do you say, not the best role models. So you're like, I don't really want to follow that route. And so there's this example that always stuck with me. But talking about like when you go to a movie theater, right? You go to a movie theater and you sit down, you get your popcorn, you're watching the show, and you're about to watch this film. And you get about 30, 45 minutes into the film and you realize, this movie sucks. This movie, I don't want to watch this movie anymore. And then it would be really weird to like get up from your chair, walk to the front of the movie theater, and try to change the movie like somehow that way. But that's like what we do in life. We're like, oh, I don't like this. I'm gonna go get another job, or I'm gonna go do something else. Way more sense to get out of your chair, walk to the back of the room, go into the projector room, and take the reel off that's playing and put a new reel on. And that's literally what's going on inside our minds. We have a reel, a story, a narrative, a play that is based on all of our past conditioning, our past experiences, and it's playing on repeat. And then it's projecting out through our lens, and then we're seeing that and believing that, like, and that's the movie that we're watching, never realizing that we can just change the movie. And that's a process, and that's part of the process that we actually went through in the course in week 3 about, you know, recreating the character, recreating that mindset. But, and then the last piece to that story is that who you are is not the story that's playing. You're the light that is projecting through that movie reel, and you're free to change that story as many times as you want. You change it, you don't like that one, you can change it again and again. And yeah, and so in order to create those outer results, it's like first that inner dialogue, like you mentioned, Emily, like the language that we use, the stories that we have. And I guess to be more specific, where you can start is like finding inputs of people who would be good role models, of people who have done what you're trying to do. Follow them. Take, you know, if they have classes, take their classes. If you have friends or mentors that you can engage with, like start putting in different inputs, and that will start the process. So does that?
Yes. And
answer
Kelly,
that?
just keep hanging out here. We've got you.
Yeah.
That's why it's quite a magical, supportive place, right? Thank you, Dan. And for anybody that has just like frothed over this conversation and wants even more, the next course in Conscious Wealth actually starts this week. But Dan offers free one-on-one strategy calls, and to see if this might be a good fit for you. I know for me, if you didn't catch the live before, it's given me direct results that were tangible and like miraculous for my experience, which I can definitely share more if you feel interested. Shoot me a DM if you have any questions. I send voice messages, so I'm more than happy to share my story and my experience. But yeah, I'm super stoked for anybody that wants to continue unraveling their money story, because I truly believe that if we do this now, you know, in a generation, we can become a really thriving, abundant society, and that just like gets me so lit up. Like imagine if everyone you knew were thriving, truly thriving. That's why we're here and doing this. So
this is like for real the reason, like what I know now to be what I'm doing here, why I'm here. It's like leaders, influencers, people who like have a message and can make a real impact in the world.
which
I
is
want to work, which is everybody. I want to work with those people to help them. Like if they have like where if money would just get out of the way and it wouldn't be an issue for them and they could be free to go make that impact. That's what I'm here. That's what I'm like, that's what I'm doing. Like when I think of the impact that you're going to make, Emily, I'm like, oh man, if I played a little role in helping you be able to spread that wider, I have purpose. So I'm just like grateful for you. Thank you for inviting me on here. Thank you for everybody who is chiming in with
yeah.
comments and stuff. This is great. This is also the first time I've ever done it, an Insta live like shared like this. And I don't pop on these lives that often, but I love it. I think you've inspired me, so I might do more.
Yeah, this was fun. Thanks,
Yeah,
Dan. Really, really appreciate it and appreciate your time.
thank you.
And for anybody that wants more information, just either shoot me or Jen a personal message. You can find us on Facebook, or you can stay here on Insta. And I can tell you about a really special way to get $500 off the course. So if you're
Yeah.
curious about that offer, just send me a DM and we'll hook you guys up together. But thank you so much, love. I'm really excited to continue this conversation. And thank you for everyone being here. Have an
Yeah.
amazing rest of your day.